I never imagined a joke would change my life. When a billionaire invited me to play chess, I will never forget the day everything fell apart. It started like any other Tuesday, with the sun peeking through my bedroom window, glimmering like gold. But I was already late. My stomach nodded at the thought of another day of slinging coffee at the diner, drowning in the mundane. Just before I left, my phone buzzed with a notification, bright and insistent. A message from an unknown number. I hesitated, fingers trembling. "Care to test your skills?" It said simply. My heart raced. I laughed it off. A joke. It had to be. I brushed it aside, shoving my phone into my pocket while images of clattering coffee cups swirled in my mind. But then I arrived at work, and the diner was buzzing like crazy. I could barely keep up with the orders, my hands trembling as I poured coffee into crackling mugs. The world felt heavy on my shoulders. Just as I was about to collapse into my usual routine, the door swung open. He walked in like a storm. Tall, composed, with a presence that demanded attention. He scanned the room and his gaze locked onto mine. I froze. He approached, and I noticed the sharp cut of his suit, the way he moved with purpose. "I'm in need of someone who can think several moves ahead," he said, flashing a smile that could melt glaciers. My heart raced. Was this real? Had my joke taken on a life of its own? I stuttered out a laugh, the heat rising to my cheeks. "You mean chess?" I asked. He nodded, his posture relaxed, as if this conversation was the most natural thing in the world. "Meet me tonight at the rooftop lounge." My stomach twisted at the invite. An upscale venue I'd only ever seen in magazines. I glanced around the diner, suffocated by the grease and chatter. This could be my escape. The wealthy elite, the glimmer of high society, all so distant from my reality. I could already hear the laughter, the clinking of wine glasses. A free ticket out of the grind, but doubts clawed at my chest. What if I didn't belong? What if this was just another cruel twist of fate? I spent the rest of my shift fighting with the thoughts swirling in my mind. The orders blurred in front of me, customers became shadows. My heart thudded with every passing minute. I had to decide. Risk everything for a game? Or stay shackled in this diner, pouring coffee for the rest of my life? The sun dipped below the horizon, casting an orange glow across the city. I stood before the rooftop lounge, a sleek building that pierced the sky. I could feel the energy humming, filled with people clad in designer clothes. I hesitated, my hand trembling on the door handle. The crowd moved around me, laughter spilling out like music. Inside, the atmosphere shifted. It felt electric, charged with possibilities. I spotted him across the room, confidence radiating from him as he chatted with another. He turned, our eyes met, and I almost felt my heart stop. There was something magnetic about him. Or was it the life he represented? The chessboard loomed in my mind now, each piece an opportunity, a risk. I approached, but just as I opened my mouth, a loud crash shattered the moment. Glass shattered below my feet, cold dread wrapped around me. Whispers echoed, was it an accident? Suddenly, someone screamed. My breath caught, and I realized this was no ordinary evening. "Are you ready to play?" he asked, his eyes shining with an intensity one had never seen before. But all I could focus on was the chaos unfurling around us. Was this part of the game? A test? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The echoes of glass shattering felt like a warning bell, vibrating through the chaos. I barely registered the scene unfolding before panic-stricken faces, the shouts blending into a cacophony of confusion. My heart raced, caught between the dizzying allure of the billionaire's world and the stark reality that crashing glass brought to the forefront. "Lena," he called, breaking through the din with a voice that somehow cut through the chaos. He stepped closer, his brow furrowed with concern as he reached out, grasping my arm with a firm yet gentle pressure. "We need to move away from the crowd." His touch sent a jolt through me, not just from the warmth of his skin but from the realization that in this moment, it was him I chose to trust. I followed him, navigating through a sea of confusion and fear. As we reached a quieter corner, behind the bar, I leaned against the cool, polished surface, my breaths quick and shallow. "What just happened? Was that an accident?" I stammered, trying to piece together my fractured surroundings. "Looks like the chandelier collapsed," he replied, tension etched into his features. "They'll handle it, but we need to stay away from the crowd." His gaze flickered over me, concern mingled with something else, something deeper that sent my heart racing again. Just then, amidst the frenzy, a woman rushed past, tears streaming down her cheeks. I instinctively reached out to her. "Are you okay?" I asked, my heart aching for whatever hurt she was carrying. She paused, and for a moment, it felt as if time stood still. Her anguish was palpable. "My sister, she was supposed to be here tonight. I couldn't find her," she managed, her voice trembling. The weight of her grief struck me hard. In that instant, I realized that even in the midst of my own turmoil, I was not alone. My own fears paled in comparison to the raw pain radiating from a stranger. I squeezed her hand, offering the only comfort I could. "We'll find her together," I promised, igniting her hope with the simple act of empathy. Meanwhile, the billionaire stood by, witnessing the exchange. I could see a flicker of admiration in his eyes, a glimmer of understanding. Perhaps in my moment of vulnerability, I was unearthing a humanity that even his world failed to recognize, but as the minutes ticked away, the panic around the lounge ebbing only slightly, I felt my own fear creep back. What was I doing here? I wasn't a hero, I was just a girl from a diner. I glanced at the billionaire, whose intensity had shifted to something softer, something warmer. "Lena, are you sure you want to be here?" he asked, his probing gaze searching mine. Before I could respond, a voice called out from the distance, cutting through the uncertain air. "Help! Someone, please!" We turned to see a man trapped beneath a fallen beam, blood dripping from a gash on his forehead, a sight that struck terror into the heart of the room. And still I stood, paralyzed by the enormity of the moment, caught between the rush of adrenaline and the urge to turn and flee. "You can't just stand here," the billionaire urged, determination igniting in his eyes. "We have to help." Without thinking, without weighing the risks, I nodded. Instinctively, I moved toward the scene, adrenaline surging through my veins. The world around me narrowed, focused sharply on the chaos of the moment. "Get him some help," I shouted, forcing my voice to cut through the clamor. "Call 911, as others rushed into action, I knelt beside the injured man, my heart pounding. His gaze met mine, fear and pain reflected in his eyes. "It's going to be okay," I assured him, though I could hardly believe it myself. In that moment, the sadness and the hope tangled together into a complex knot. The billionaire knelt on the other side, his hands steady as he assessed the man's injuries. "We need to keep him conscious," he said to me, his voice calm, a soothing balm amidst the chaos. As we began talking to the man, I found a strange rhythm in our words. Each exchange created an invisible bond, each promise of safety sculpting moments of hope in an otherwise dark hour. But as the sirens wailed in the distance, and help arrived, I felt the gravity of my original world pulling me, anchoring me back to the mundane. I hadn't signed on for heroics, I'd come seeking an escape. Yet here I was, thrust into the center of something far more significant than any game of chess that I in the aftermath. As paramedics took over and the crowd began to settle, I turned to the billionaire, my hands shaking with a mix of adrenaline and confusion. "What is this? This isn't what I came for," I breathed, overwhelmed by emotions I couldn't quite articulate. That he stepped closer, an enigmatic smile gracing his lips. No one ever expects the unexpected, Lena. But sometimes, amidst the chaos, we discover who we truly are. His words hung in the air, heavy with meaning, yet somehow infused with an undercurrent of possibility, but just as I started to wrestle with the contours of this new reality, my phone buzzed violently against my hip. I fished it out, my heart dropping as I read the text, a name I hadn't heard in years, a thread to my past I thought had long been severed. Lena, it's time to come home. The weight of unexpected memories slammed into me, abruptly merging with the chaos surrounding me, threatening to pull me under. My heartbeat echoed in my ears as I looked up, searching for stability in the tempest swirling within. The last thing I saw was the concern etched on the billionaire's face, but it wouldn't be the last, I was certain. The hum of confusion still lingered in the air, a haunting reminder of the night's events, as if every echo held a piece of our shared crisis. I stood there, shaking, grappling with the text that still glowed ominously on my phone screen. Lena, it's time to come home. I understood the weight of those words too well. Home was a place where ghosts whispered my childhood secrets, where memories clawed at the walls fragile and frayed, each thread pulling taut against my heart. That name, that sinister reminder of my past, was a wound I thought had scarred over, but it seemed an intrusion I could never truly shake off. The billionaire noticed the shift in my demeanor, his brows knitting further together. Lena? Are you all right? His voice, laden with concern, found its way to the corners of my fractured thoughts. I felt trapped in a moment, suspended between two worlds, the chaos around me and the shadow of a past I'd tried to forget. The events from earlier flickered in my mind, the pain of the injured man, the fear igniting within the crowd, and the small glimmers of courage I'd unearthed despite the storm. No, I stumbled over the words, struggling to voice what I could barely comprehend. I just got a message. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. It's from someone I thought I'd left behind. That I glanced back over to the paramedics administering care, a haunting reminder of how quickly one's reality could shift. The billionaire stepped closer, the warmth radiating from him somehow grounding me while simultaneously igniting a flicker of something else, something dangerously close to hope. Do you want to talk about it? He asked gently, leaning in just enough to indicate he understood the gravity without pushing. Rather than answer, I found myself wandering into memories that had long felt buried. When I moved here, I thought I was escaping everything. But it looks like my past doesn't want to leave me alone. A message like that is more than just a reminder, I whispered, my voice choked with emotion. It means I have to confront it again. I get that, he replied, his gaze unwavering. We all have things we've fled from. Sometimes it feels easier to run than to face what lies behind, but running wasn't an option, was it? I could feel the weight of the choice suffocating me, pulling me down. If I go back, my entire life here, everything I've started to build, could vanish. Or it could reshape you, he countered softly. It's easy to see the shadow of the past as a burden, but maybe it's also a giddy compass to show you what you truly want. His words felt like a warm embrace amidst the uncertainty, but they were also a slippery pathway into ambiguity I couldn't yet tread. That as silence stretched uncomfortably between us, the emotions raced through my mind, fear, anguish, and beneath it all, an inexplicable sense of longing. What if going back swallows me whole? What if I lose this moment? I gestured between us, the connection forged in the calamity of the night, bright and real. That I can't promise you won't lose anything. But maybe you'll also gain what you didn't even know you were missing, he said. Wanting to help someone, being there for others, it won't erase who you are or what's happened to you. It simply adds another layer to your story. I marveled at the perspective he offered, his belief in sarcasm against my turmoil igniting a fragile warmth within me. What if it breaks me? He hesitated before answering, as if weighing the risk against the cost. Then you'll gather your pieces, just like you've done before. I've seen how strong you can be, even in the face of panic. Just then, the bustling crowd around us subsided, the atmosphere thickening as we both instinctively turned toward the sound of soft laughter ringing out from the bar area. A small group had gathered around, watching as the bartender, with an easy smile, charmingly fumbled with a tray of drinks. It was a small oasis amidst the chaos, a fleeting moment of connection birthed from the whirlwind of emotions. Sometimes joy finds its way back, even when it feels impossible, the billionaire remarked, gesturing at the laughter as a sense of warmth spread through the now more subdued crowd. But just as the laughter washed over me like a bomb, that nagging phone buzz shattered the revelry. I glanced at the screen, a new message causing my heart to drop once more, the familiar name sending a jolt through my very core. Lena, it read, I'm closer than you think. You can't run from me forever. Panic gripped me suddenly, a vice closing around my chest. I looked up, my eyes wide, and saw the billionaire's expression shift from gentle concern to a quick, cold realization. He understood the weight of this. Before I could process my next thought, the world around me began to spin. I have to go, I managed, my voice barely a whisper against the new storm brewing within. Lena, wait, he reached out, but I felt more lost with each passing second. I was unraveling, not only from the tensions of the night but from the very core of who I had believed I'd become. With a trembling hand, I turned to face the door, the reality of my past and present swirling together like the twirling shards of glass that had fallen that night, each piece reflecting fear and longing in equal measure. Without knowing where my feet would take me, I stepped through the threshold, propelled by the tempest I could no longer contain. And in the fading echoes of laughter behind me, I realized this journey was far from over. The cool air hit my face like a slap as I stepped outside, jarring me from the formless haze of anxiety that had encased my thoughts. The night was alive with muffled sounds of laughter and distant traffic, yet all I could hear was the suffocating thrum of my own heartbeat. Each pulse magnified those chilling words from the message that clung to my mind like a shadow, you can't run from me forever. A part of me wanted to curl up and disappear into the cracks of the pavement, to become invisible, to evade the inevitable confrontation lurking just beyond the walls of my thoughts. But I pressed my palms against my cheeks, forcing myself to breathe. There had to be a way forward, a path to untangle this mess. As I wandered aimlessly down the street, I felt a fleeting reminder of those nights spent in solitude, the comforting embrace of isolation that had become my unwelcome companion. But the darkness that used to feel like a comforting blanket now felt stifling. I could almost hear the echoes of my younger self, who danced on the edge of naivete and hope, whispering, don't forget that life reflects what you choose to see. That I found myself drawn to a small park lit by the soft glow of antique-style lamps. The tree branches swayed gently in the breeze, silhouetted against the star-speckled sky. I sank onto a bench, the wood cool beneath me, the stillness offering a balm to my fraying nerves. But the quiet quickly disintegrated as I pulled my phone from my pocket, staring at the lingering message, the very embodiment of my fears. What do you want from me? I breathed out into the void, half hoping for an answer. Instead, the silence pressed back, wrapping around me like chains. Bells chimed softly in the distance, and as if the universe was conspiring to pull me away from my spiraling thoughts, an elderly man approached, pushing a cart overflowing with brightly colored flowers. His face, burst with laughter lines, told tales of weathered strength. Evening, young lady, he greeted, his eyes twinkling, framed by a wild mane of white hair. Care for a flower, perhaps? They bring a bit of joy to the darkness. That I hesitated, a small part of me recognizing the unusual kindness in this stranger's offer. I don't know, I muttered, battling the weight of my turmoil. It hardly seems fitting right now. The old man leaned closer, his smile refusing to fade. Joy doesn't need to wait for the right moment, he replied gently. It's a rebellious flower, often blooms when you least expect it. And even through sorrow, it finds its way into the cracks. His words caught me off guard, strumming at a heartstring I had almost forgotten existed. I swallowed against the sharpness of my emotions, the remnants of hope tingling in the air. Tell me, what brings you joy still? I asked impulsively, eager for distraction, a reprieve from my own spiraling darkness. My dear, he responded, a hint of nostalgia softening his tone, there's much beauty in helping others. Every bouquet I sell today is one less burden for someone else, a small gift to make their day brighter. I thought of the injured man from earlier, the way I had felt compelled to step in, and for a fleeting moment, the warmth of the stranger's kindness lit a fire within me. Perhaps there was another way through this storm. Thus compelled, I reached out and plucked a vibrant sunflower from his cart, its golden hue reminiscent of warmth and light. "One for me then," I smiled, and the man's face blossomed with a grin, as if he could see the shift within me. As I turned to leave, I could feel the heaviness still lingering like a cloud over my shoulders, but there was a burgeoning sense of hope, not resolution, but a gentle nudge towards something more. Perhaps I could find a way to weave my past and present and not let one consume the other. Just as I took a step away, my phone buzzed again, the pulsing energy scratching against my newfound resolve. I hesitated, the sunflower cradled in my palm, a vibrant contrast against the current of anxiety sweeping through me. The screen lit up once more, a text from the enigmatic figure of my past. "I know you're out there. I won't let you slip away this time." Heart racing, I turned slowly around, scanning the darkened street as if the shadows would betray the lurking presence of someone who had long haunted my thoughts. In that moment, enveloped by shadows that felt thick and suffocating, the night shifted into something darker still, every flicker of hope snuffed by the warning festering in my gut. Is it too late to run? I muttered to the vibrant flower, only to find that once again, the choice was mine, a crossroads pulled taut before me like the strings of an unforgiving world. And yet, all I could hear were the laughter lines of that kind-hearted stranger echoing, "Joy doesn't need to wait." In the space of my heart, I felt the tremors of a storm, the clashing of fear and resolve, and I wondered how long I could ride this wave before it crashed into an uncertainty that could swallow me whole. I could feel the weight of the message, draping around me like a cloak, and a trembling question surfaced: would confronting the past set me free, or would it turn me into someone I was too afraid to meet? The chill in the air lingered as I continued to grip the sunflower tightly, its petals warm between my fingers, contrasting starkly with the cold dread creeping into my bones. The flickering streetlights made the shadows dance around me, shifting uncertainly as I contemplated my next move. The clamor of laughter from nearby faded into the background, becoming a mere memory against the rising tide of my thoughts. What did they mean when they said I could confront the past? Wasn't staying hidden, avoiding the storm, the best course? But as I looked at the sunflower defiance woven into its bright hue, I realized that life was not about playing the role of a victim. I felt, deep within, the flame of determination flickering, but the uncertainty clawed viciously at the edges of that resolve. Before I could overthink, I crossed the street toward a small cafe, its warm light spilling out like a welcoming embrace. The bell on the door chimed softly, and I almost felt its resonance wash over me. I stepped inside, finding a corner table that offered a view of the street outside yet cocooned me in its warmth. As I settled in, I kept glancing at the window, half expecting to see the figure from my text message lurking outside. Moments passed, the cafe filled with the aroma of coffee and sweet pastries, dissolving some of my tension. I fidgeted with the sunflower, the contrast of its vibrant energy against my turmoil reminding me of the old man's words. When my coffee arrived, the barista surprised me with a smile and a tip of the hat, and the kindness ignited another flicker of hope inside me. As I took a sip, the steam enveloped my face, inviting me into a space of warmth, yet the anxiety still gripped me. I pulled out my phone again, a compulsion I couldn't resist. The screen lit up under my touch, and I involuntarily held my breath as I scrolled through my messages. I had already read the ominous text too many times, but the bitterness of uncertainty seeped through each word. Suddenly, my phone buzzed, jolting me back to the present. Another message had arrived, this time from my closest friend, Leah. "Hey. Want to come meet me at the bridge park? I'm feeling spontaneous. I need some of your flower spirit today." A smile crept onto my face, the warmth of her words enveloping me like a gentle hug. Leah had always been my anchor during turbulent times, her spontaneity a counterbalance to my underlying fears. And how lovely it would be to talk to someone who truly understood my struggles. Without thinking, I sent her my confirmation, quickly typing, "On my way." Leaving the cafe, I felt the sunflower brush against my side, a reminder that beauty still existed even in turbulent times. But as I stepped outside, the lingering apprehension tightened its hold on my mood. The streetlights cast long shadows that flickered eerily in the evening breeze, and I couldn't help but glance over my shoulder every few steps. The park was just 3 blocks away, and as I walked, a tension knotted in the pit of my stomach. I fought my racing thoughts, clinging to the promise of a warm conversation with Leah to keep me grounded. But with every step, I felt that looming presence in the corners of my mind. Finally, as I rounded the corner to the bridge park, my heartbeat quickened. Leah stood on the bridge, her silhouette framed against the twilight sky, radiating positivity. Just as I prepared to call out to her, my phone buzzed again. It was my textor once more. "I told you I wouldn't let you slip away. You're in more danger than you realize." My breath hitched in my throat, panic pooling. Leah caught sight of me, her cheerful expression morphing into concern. "Hey, are you okay?" She rushed to my side, her small hands clasping my shoulders. I don't know," I murmured, glancing anxiously around as if the shadows might have faces, lurking just outside the circle of light. Leah's concern deepened, and she leaned in closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "Talk to me. What's going on?" Opening my mouth, the truth felt heavy on my tongue. Just as I began to speak, a fleeting movement caught my eye. At the edge of the park, a figure stepped from the shadows, the outline cloaked in mystery. I froze, adrenaline coursing through my veins, and then my heart plummeted as the figure stepped into the light. Me past incarnate, the haunting gaze so achingly familiar. Confusion swirled as they advanced toward me. "Looks like I found you," they said softly, and for a moment, time stood still. The world blurred, the laughter from the cafe fading, leaving only the echo of my question hanging, hovering in the air. What happens now? The chill of recognition washed over me, a tumultuous wave that crashed against the fragile barriers I had built around my heart all these years. There, in front of me, stood Alex Tall, with the same determined glint in their eye that had haunted my memories. My breaths quickened as Leah's grip on my shoulders tightened, grounding me amidst the chaos unraveling in my mind. "Alex?" I managed to whisper, the sound barely escaping my lips. The name felt foreign, like a ghost summoned from the depths of my past, each syllable weighted with a complexity I had tried desperately to forget. "I know this is unexpected," they said, a tone of apology lacing their voice. "But I'm here for you. I always have been." Leah looked between us, her confusion palpable. "You two know each other?" she asked, her brow furrowing in concern, yet an unspoken camaraderie flickered between us, igniting a long-dormant warmth. "Alex was my best friend," I stammered, memories flooding my mind. We had shared laughter on sun-kissed mornings, moments of unfiltered joy that had been stripped away in an instant. "But what are you doing here? Why now?" Their expression shifted into one of quiet determination. "I've been searching for you. I thought you deserved to know the truth, to confront what happened." Each word felt like a pebble thrown into the still waters of my emotions, rippling and disturbing the fragile peace I'd forged. Before I could respond, Leah interjected gently. "It's probably best to sit down and talk through this. Just breathe." Her voice was soft, full of kindness, and I could see the concern etched into her features for both of us. It took everything within me to nod, my legs feeling as if they might collapse beneath me. We made our way to a bench overlooking the water, the moonlight shimmering on the surface, creating an illusion of serenity that starkly contrasted with the turmoil roiling in my heart. "Why did you disappear?" I forced the question past the thick knot in my throat. "How could you just leave like that?" Alex's gaze dropped to the ground, an expression of guilt clouding their features. "I had my reasons I thought were best for both of us. But I've come to understand that locking you out was a mistake. Please just hear me out." That I closed my eyes, trying to contain the surge of emotions surging through me: pain, anger, nostalgia, fear. "I don't think I can just hear you out. You think you can waltz back into my life after everything? Do you know how much I've suffered?" "I know," they said, their voice steady despite the quiet storm brewing within me. "And I can't change the past, but I'm here now. I want to help to make things right." It was Leah who broke the tense silence. "Maybe you both need to find a way to talk this through. Sometimes, confronting the past is the only way to move forward." Her words were laced with wisdom, yet I couldn't shake the feeling that hearing Alex out could open old wounds I wasn't prepared to face. but what if the truth hurts? My voice trembled as I grappled with lingering resentment and the ghost of affection I thought I had buried. What if it leads to more pain? Everything worth having comes with risk, Alex responded softly. Truth can wound, but it can also heal. Their eyes locked onto mine, revealing a flicker of vulnerability. Suddenly, the darkness curling in my gut tightened, and an unexpected thought struck me: what if I wasn't the only one who had secrets to unveil? I hadn't seen them in years. The unease that followed their every movement suggested there was more at play than just our shared past. What are you really hiding, Alex? I finally confronted, my voice barely above a whisper. They hesitated, the weight of my question hanging between us. I found something out, a dangerous truth that involves more than just us. Their words were barely a whisper, but they bore the weight of 1,000 silent battles fought in shadows. Before I could digest the reality of their suggestion, my phone buzzed again, breaking the fragile moment. My breath hitched as I glanced down at the notification. The familiar anonymity of the text brought back the urgency of my underlying fears. You're running out of time, and he's watching. Who's watching? Leah pressed, her protective instincts igniting, yet I could only manage a wan smile, knowing she could see right through my facade. That I don't know, but we need to talk, I said with urgency, fear tightening its grip once more. Something is coming, something that will shatter the fragile stability I've built. Alex, can you trust me enough to share your truth? Their eyes glinted in the moonlight, a storm brewing within as if they were calculating the wisdom of the moment. All right, they said, a resolve hardening in their voice, but know this: once the truth is out, there's no going back. And then silence enveloped us as the weight of the impending revelation loomed overhead, my heart pounding with trepidation for what was to come. Would facing our demons put the past to rest, or would it unearth nightmares we either had forgotten or chosen to bury? The night air wrapped around us like an unseen hug, stifling yet strangely comforting, teasing out feelings I had thought buried forever. Leah leaned in closer, her hand finding mine as if to be my anchor in the dark sea of uncertainty I was about to wade into. I stole a glance at Alex, whose expression held a mix of courage and apprehension, and just for that brief moment, a spark of hope flickered within me, a hope that maybe, just maybe, we could face whatever storm awaited us together. The tension between us was palpable, laden with the weight of unsaid words. I promised to listen, Alex, I whispered, my voice slightly steadier. Just tell me everything. Alex inhaled deeply, their brows knitting together as they searched for the right words. After I left, I thought I was protecting you. I thought it was for the best. But then I learned things about your family, our past, and about someone who has been watching us both. Every word felt like an additional weight on my chest, threatening to crush me under their gravity. Like what? What could possibly involve me? Your father wasn't the man you thought he was. There are people who still want to settle scores, people who care more about the past than our futures, Alex confessed, their voice barely above a whisper, the shadows from the streetlight stretching across their face in a way that made them seem more fragile than before. The ground beneath me shifted. What do you mean? My father was a hero. Each word tasted bitter, like burnt sugar on my tongue. That can't be true. There was a pause, and in that moment, a soft breeze ruffled through the trees, as if nature itself was trying to shield me from the truth. I wish it wasn't, but I have letters, documents, evidence that shows he was involved in dealings that tie back to someone powerful, someone dangerous. That my heart raced, every beat thrumming with fear and betrayal. My father, a man who had always seemed a bastion of righteousness, tainted by secrets I had never dared to imagine. Why didn't you tell me sooner? I felt tears prick at my eyes, anger flaring even as I battled with the painful confusion enveloping me. That I didn't want to drag you into it, Alex replied, pain flickering behind their gaze. And I didn't want to believe it myself. But I realized that the longer I kept it from you, the more dangerous it became for you and for me. What do you mean, dangerous? Leah's voice was steady, though her eyes mirrored my own anxiety. The protective barrier in her tone was an unsung promise that she would stand by me, no matter how dark the truth might get. Alex quivered slightly, their resolve wavering. Somebody has been watching us. It's not just your father's past, it's what he left behind. The moment I showed up, I felt a shadow lurking just beneath the surface of everything. I shouldn't have come back, but I couldn't stay away. Swallowing hard, I backed away slightly, creating space between us. So, what now? You expect me to dive headfirst into this chaos with you? Not expect, Alex replied, their voice a shaky whisper. I want you to choose. You can turn away from this, go back to the life you had before. Or you can join me in uncovering the truth that the past has kept hidden, even if it's dangerous. I can protect you, but you need to trust me. For a moment, the world seemed to spin around us. The very notion of leaping into the unknown sent shivers racing down my spine. Yet, buried deep was a flicker of defiance that nudged me to confront the specters of my past instead of running. Truth or no truth, leaving it buried won't cut it as long as I'm breathing, I said with newfound conviction, surprising myself with the steadiness of my voice. If I'm going to be a part of this whatever it is, I want to know how deep it goes. What exactly did you find? Before Alex could answer, my phone vibrated insistently against the bench, a harsh reminder that sometimes, reality demanded our full attention at the most inconvenient times. Quickly, I glanced at the screen, the message text glaringly ominous, "You're getting too close. I can make you disappear, too." Panic swallowed me, and I looked at Leah, who had turned pale, her eyes wide with concern. We should go. Now. Alex sprang forward, their hand wrapping around my wrist, firm but not overbearing. We need to fight back. We can unravel this darkness together, but only if we act quickly. Torn between fear and courage, a swell of determination surged within me as I met their gaze, and for the first time, I saw not just my old friend but someone willing to stand shoulder to shoulder with me against the tide of uncertainty. Then we dive in, I whispered, the words gaining an instinctive momentum. Together, but even as the pledge slipped from my lips, I felt a cold shiver that hinted at the price we might pay. And as we turned to leave, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a harrowing journey that might cost us more than we were ready to give. The world spun around me, not in chaotic frenzy but with quiet intensity, and every step I took felt heavy with the weight of the unknown. The chill of the night air wrapped around me as we maneuvered our way through the sparse streetlights, shadows lingering like whispered secrets just out of reach. Leah walked close by my side, her presence a lighthouse amidst the darkness that loomed ahead. She squeezed my hand, grounding me in a reality that felt increasingly surreal. Even in our haste, there were flickers of life around us: a couple laughing under a brightly lit cafe's awning, an elderly man feeding pigeons in the square. Those small moments reminded me that beyond the storm we were about to walk into, there was still beauty in the ordinary, even if I felt increasingly disconnected from it. What if they're right? What if I'm just messing everything up? I murmured, voicing a fear I had kept silent. What if I'm inviting trouble? Leah halted abruptly, forcing me to stop as well. She turned to face me, her eyes a mix of empathy and determination. You're not messing everything up. You're chasing the truth. And truth, however painful, is always worth it. Remember that. I nodded, but the tremble in my resolve revealed everything I felt inside. Despite Leah's encouragement, a gnawing doubt threatened to pull me back into the shadows. I glanced at Alex, who walked beside us, their face shadowed yet stoic, bracing for the storm we were about to unleash. Where do we even start? I asked, my voice trembling as if I were stepping onto thin ice. You said you have evidence of my father's past. Where is it? What if this person who's watching us sees me making moves? Then we play smart, Alex replied, their voice firm and steadfast. We gather the pieces before we confront anyone. I have some contacts who may know more, but we need to be cautious. They'll sense our intentions. If it gets too close, we step back. Leah spoke up, attempting to soothe my frayed nerves. There has to be a safe place to meet your contacts, right? Maybe somewhere in public where we can blend in, where they won't notice something's up. Before Alex could respond, my phone buzzed once again, an insistent vibration that pierced through our conversation. My heart lurched in my chest as I pulled it out. It was another message, yet this one sent shivers down my spine, the text reading ominously, I know where you are. Every move you make, don't take this lightly. The color drained from Leah's face. I felt her grip tighten around my hand as we exchanged a knowing glance filled with unspoken dread. "We're being hunted," I breathed, panic creeping into my chest. Alex's expression hardened as they swiftly recognized the weight of the threat. "We need to move. Stay close. Don't attract attention." That we hurried to a nearby alley, ducking behind a dumpster to catch our breath and assess our next move. The faint sounds of the city grew quieter as we huddled together, hearts racing in unison, the atmosphere thick with unspeakable tension. As I leaned against the cool brick wall, my mind whirled with questions and fears. Why me? Why my father's legacy? The words slipped out, a plea for clarity amidst the chaos. Alex's gaze softened as they looked at me. "Because you're stronger than you know, and your father left threads that need to be unraveled. You can't run away from the truth forever. Sometimes, we're thrust into situations far beyond our control, but it doesn't mean we're powerless." Leah brushed a strand of hair behind her ear, her voice quaking slightly. "I'll always be by your side. Whatever comes next, we face it together." I wanted to believe her, wanted to take comfort in that connection, yet the oppressive weight of the unknown pressed down on my spirit, making it difficult to breathe under the reality of our situation. What if they don't just want to silence me? What if they come after you too? "I can't let that happen." A cry from a child shattered the tension momentarily, a small reminder of innocence cloaked in shadows. But the moment was fleeting, allowing heavy silence to envelop us once more as I faced what lay ahead. Alex leaned in closer, their presence a firm reassurance against an encroaching darkness. "You're not alone. The path ahead twists and turns, but we will navigate it together. We have to find the truths hidden beneath the lies, and I promise, I won't let them hurt you." Just as Alex finished speaking, a figure emerged from the entrance of the alley, their face obscured in darkness. My breath hitched, fear igniting my instincts as I grasped Leah's hand tighter. The stranger stepped closer, illuminating only part of their face with a flickering streetlight, revealing a knowing smile that ignited anxiety in my chest. "Is this what you wanted, dear? To unravel a family legacy?" I felt the blood drain from my face. The world dimmed around me as recognition hit hard. The voice sent a familiar chill down my spine, and my heart raced with panic. You shouldn't be here." The figure chuckled, a sound dripping with malice. "Oh, my dear, it's only just begun." And in that heartbeat, I knew this was the moment everything would change forever. The figure's presence caused the shadows to deepen, pulling me into a suffocating vortex of dread. As their voice lilted in the stillness of the alley, I could almost feel time itself stall, hanging by a thread under the weight of impending confrontation. "Look at you, so passionate about the family legacy," they continued, their tone infused with mockery. "It's almost adorable how you think you can dig through the past without consequences. Who are you?" I felt breathless, grappling with the overwhelming surge of emotions that threatened to swallow me whole. Leah stepped slightly in front of me as if to shield me from whatever danger loomed, but I could see the uncertainty etched on her face. The stranger's laughter cut through the air like glass shattering. "Oh, darling, you'll find out soon enough. But let's not rush after all, this is a game, isn't it? And I do love a good game. Get away from us." Alex interjected, their steady voice betraying the storm brewing underneath. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." "Oh, but I do," the figure smirked, brushing their hair back from their eyes, their features becoming more recognizable. "I've watched you. I've learned everything about you. And I relish the thought of playing chess with such intriguing pawns." As they spoke, I felt my pulse quicken, the throbbing in my chest coiling tighter with every cryptic word. "What do you want?" I managed, forcing out the syllables as the reality of our peril circled around me like a vulture. "Did I want to keep the game interesting," they replied, leaning against a nearby wall casually, as if we were old friends sharing pleasantries instead of facing one another in the midst of chaos. "Your father thought he was so clever, hiding the truth. But I'm here to help you discover it if you're brave enough." "Help?" Leah's voice was sharp and disbelieving, laced with an anger that coursed through the air. "I'd rather die than trust you." "Then perhaps you'll enjoy watching this one stumble and fall while searching for the pieces of a shattered legacy." The gleam in their eyes flickered with malice, an invitation as much as a threat. A knot tightened in my stomach, coaxing doubt to rise within. Part of me wanted to scream for them to leave, yet another part, a more curious part, leaned toward the stranger's words. What did they know? What twisted truths hid beneath the surface of my father's legacy? Just as silence settled heavily between us, the stranger's demeanor shifted slightly. I see the fight in you, it's one of the few things I admire. What if I offered a glimpse into what truly happened? A memoria glimpse if only you meet me at dawn, alone. Do not listen to them. Alex snapped, clenching their fists. My heart raced, caught between the urge to accept this mysterious invitation and the alarm bells screaming caution. The figure straightened, eyes glistening under the flickering light. What's life without a little risk? After all, if your father's past holds no treasure, you have nothing to lose, do you? I could feel the breath in my lungs hitching. Risk. As dangerous as it was, it seemed the only way to untangle this torment that was becoming my life. What's the catch? I barely whispered, fear battling with an insatiable curiosity. Only the usual one, trust, they said, and for an instant, there was a sincerity in their tone that made my stomach churn. Meet me at the old clock tower. I think you'll find the hands of time have much to reveal. With those words hanging thick in the air, the figure turned and vanished into the obscured paths of the alley, leaving behind the wild echoes of my conflicted thoughts. I was left teetering on the edge of uncertainty, battling the urge to give in to fear or to dive headfirst into the unknown. Are you thinking of going? Alex asked, their voice low, undeniably cautious, searching my eyes for a glimmer of hope or resolve. Leah was still holding my hand, but her fingers whispered hesitance. I don't know, I admitted, voice trembling, haunted by both curiosity and fear. What if this is a trap? What if they're playing with us? The risk feels too high, Leah said, concern etched on her furrowed brow. But if there's a possibility of answers, the pieces of your father's legacy. I felt the weight of their gazes bearing down on me, the flickers of support mingled with fear reflecting in their eyes. Could I brave the storm that swirled around me? As I stood there, wrestling with a torrent of emotions, a realization crept through me: answers could shatter everything I believed to be true. Yet what if they were the very key to my freedom? Just as turmoil brewed within me, my phone buzzed violently in my pocket once again. I reached for it, throat tightening as I glanced at the screen. A new message blinked ominously, and my breath drew short at the words that stared back at me like a death sentence. You dare to defy what's been set in motion. I know your every move. Watch your back. A cold shudder ran down my spine, thickening the air with dread, as the reality of the situation crashed down on me. Choices lay ahead, intertwined with a darkness I could no longer ignore, but the consequences, they were shaping up to be far more twisted than I ever imagined. And with that, clarity began to surface in the fog of chaos. I didn't just need courage, I needed to embrace the tempest, to entwine myself within a looming legacy that might just decide not only my fate but the fate of everyone I held dear. Tomorrow at dawn, I whispered, glancing at Leah and Alex, determination igniting the shadows of doubt. I'll go. The early morning light spilled over the horizon like spilled ink, casting soft, golden tendrils through the treetops as I made my way toward the old clock tower. The chill in the air wrapped around me, both a reminder of the night's cold dread and a cloak of anticipation for what lay ahead. My heart pounded in a rhythm of uncertainty, each pulse echoing the gravity of my impending confrontation. That I felt like a marionette, the strings of fate tugging at me as I moved closer to the clock tower. The quiet of the empty streets magnified my thoughts, each footfall reverberating in the hollow space surrounding me. I was on the precipice, overlooking a defining moment that could either unravel my past or solidify its grip around me. The weight of the messages, of Alex's revelations, pressed heavily against my chest. After all, the truth I sought might slice through the veils of comfort I had carefully woven around my life. As I approached the grand structure, I felt the familiar pang of anxiety mingled with curiosity. The clock tower loomed above me, a relic of time long past, its facade weathered but resolute. I stepped inside, the low light illuminating dust particles floating gracefully in the air, whispering secrets of days gone by while muting the world outside. My pulse quickened, Were they already here? The thought tightened my throat. Lena, a voice called softly from the shadows, breaking through the stillness. I turned sharply, and there they stood, shrouded in the soft golden shadows, the figure from the alley. Every muscle in my body tightened, prepared for what came next. "What do you want from me?" I managed, my voice steadier than I felt. They stepped forward into the light, revealing a face framed by a cascade of dark hair. This time, there was no mockery in their voice. Instead, there was a strange familiarity that sent chills racing across my skin. "I want to help you uncover the truth," they replied, the sincerity in their tone palpable. "You're stronger than you realize, but this journey demands courage." Drawing in a breath, I took a step closer, peeling the layers of fear that encased me. "Help how? Don't play games with me. I've had enough of those." Their eyes hardened slightly, then softened, flickering with warmth. "I'm not here to deceive you, Lena. I am here because connecting the past to the present is crucial. It is your legacy and your choice to redefine it. Your father, his choices impacted more lives than you know, and I discovered something that links back to you, something you must see with your own eyes." An unexpected wave of confusion swept over me. "Why now? Why not sooner?" "Because the time is ripe," they replied, gesturing to the clock face above, its hands almost frozen at the witching hour. "Every tick of the clock feeds into the larger narrative of our lives. But first, trust in what I share. You will face shadows, it's inevitable. But know that facing them will illuminate the path ahead." My heart raced, the turmoil of emotions battling for dominance. Every instinct screamed to flee, yet what if this was the key to breaking free from the chains of my past? Cliffhangers shrouded in mystery were woven tightly into my story, and the urgency to unearth them pushed me forward. "Okay," I breathed out, my voice trembling with determination. "Show me." They nodded, leading me toward an ancient staircase spiraling down into the heart of the tower. Darkness enveloped us as we descended, yet the flicker of fluorescent light overhead cast shadows dancing on the stone walls, cloaking our path in an eerie yet oddly comforting embrace. At the bottom, we pushed through a wooden door that creaked ominously, revealing a dimly lit room filled with documents, photos, and half-completed projects strewn across an old wooden table. I stepped forward, the air thick with secrets just waiting to be unveiled. "Your father was involved with a group that plied in shadows, tangled in webs far more dangerous than you might realize," they said, sorting through scattered papers. What they stood for was pivotal, but now that legacy is fragmented. I have proof. Proof that can connect the dots if you're willing to face the truth. My heart raced in anticipation and dread, the mounting tension palpable as I turned my gaze to the documents laid before me. I could feel the truth calling to me, each sheet a piece of the puzzle begging to be solved. I reached out tentatively, pulling a photograph from the stack, my breath hitching in my throat as I recognized the faces. "Where was this taken?" I asked, trembling with anxiety. "Shortly before he vanished," they replied, their eyes narrowed, full of intensity. "He knew something was amiss, something they wanted to keep hidden. He was looking for a way out when things took a dark turn." The photograph illuminated a ghostly vision of my father nestled among others, their expressions solemn. The weight of nostalgia crashed into me, questions pounded through my mind like incessant thunder. "He was warning me," I murmured, piecing together fragments of bittersweet memory. "That is what I want you to determine," they said, their voice steady but earnest. "But it does come with a warning. Facing what comes next may awaken something far more dangerous than simple truths." Before I could respond, an ear-splitting crack echoed from above, resonating through the tower, a reminder of the fragility of our situation. "We must hurry," they insisted, urgency lacing their tone. "Where do we go next?" I asked, shock coursing through me. "To the heart of the storm, where they make their moves. If we can expose what they have been hiding, we can alter the course of your father's legacy. You will determine its worth." For a fleeting moment, fear brushed against my senses. I took a deep breath, igniting a flame of resolve. Whatever lay ahead was a game I had no choice but to play, threads entwining my past with a future I was still struggling to understand. With our mission set, We fought past the weight of uncertainty, emerging into the light of a new dawn, where shadows beckoned for courage and every heartbeat was a testament to the strength we had yet to find. As we stepped into the day, the clock tower's silhouette whispered secrets behind us, and I realized that this game would not only redefine who I was but also lay bare the concealed truths that were ready to rise from the ashes, and as I walked forward, hand in hand with the specter of my past and the promise of a new tomorrow, I felt hope unfurling within me, wrapped in the tender promise of a hidden dawn, one that, despite the darkness, could bring forth light if only I dared to reach for it. In this life of unforeseen twists, I would face the light and the dark, and I would choose to carve a path defined not by fear, but by truth and courage. For in the end, we are not just victims of our stories but the authors of the legacy we choose to leave behind. The past is only as powerful as the shadows we allow it to cast over our future, I whispered, ready for the challenges ahead, grounded in a truth that stirred fiercely within me. And I will not let it bind me any longer.